headquarters located in downtown Dallas, the Dallas Morning News is a daily newspaper serving the Dallas-Fort Worth region and is the largest newspaper in Texas. The paper has won 9 Pulitzer Prizes along with the George Polk Awards and an additional Overseas Press Club Award in photography.
It's basically, the Dallas Morning News is a Texas institution, and it has for decades been the newspaper of record for certainly North Texas and in many ways for the state of Texas in terms of documenting the news that matters to Texans.
Founded in 1885 by Alfred Horatio as a satellite publication of the Galveston Daily News, the organization has lived through and recorded the World Wars, Cold War, and major historical events that have shaped modern American society. A battle brews, 1 decade later after the birth of Dallas Morning News. The struggle between Joseph Pulitzer's New York World and William Randolph Hearst's New York Journal. Both papers were accused of sensationalizing news to drive up circulation, exaggerating events such as developments in Cuba.
It's interesting to look back on the history of yellow journalism in the 19th century. And I think what we're seeing now is in some respects analogous, but then in other respects in the digital age is quite a bit different. We've had a lot of discussion about fake news, and we've had a lot of discussion about just new websites that spring up and publish information that is absolutely ludicrous and false for the simple reason of getting some advertising on it. And that happens. We've had fake news around for more than 200 years in American journalism. It's not new.
A decade after the founding of the Dallas Morning News, the rise of yellow journalism serves as the foundation for unprofessional writing in order to drive up circulation. Pulitzer and Hearst established the prototype for the enemy of traditional newspaper, that is, sensationalist headlines. Slowly but surely, their increasingly extravagant titles dragged America into a war that the public could not resist. Simple, fact-based news have started to fade away, quickly replaced by catchy headlines, falsely interpreted events, and twisted facts. Suddenly, profit was based mainly on whether or not the news outlet produced something people wanted to read rather than something people should read. The transfer of these attention-grabbing stories to the internet has caused major losses to the Dallas Morning News readership.
The Dallas Morning News used to have bureaus all over the world. They used to have bureaus in Asia and all over Latin America, in Europe. They used to be a global newspaper. And over the past 10 or 15 years, they've really had to shrink their focus because of the economic issues that are facing the entire news industry.
With the development of modern technology and the advent of social media, this problem in America is exacerbated. Advertisement revenue comes mainly from digital sources, meaning that attention-grabbing headlines determine profits rather than actual content. In the past, newspaper profits were based off of subscriptions for readers, and if the content was grossly mistaken or of horrible quality, a customer would unsubscribe. Now, there is no incentive to have quality content.
Well, the internet lends itself to scanning and a headline and very brief stories. People just generally, especially younger people, are not going to sit and read an 8,000-word magazine piece, and they're not going to read, for the most part, a lot of detailed analysis in newspapers. So it's created a little bit of a shorter attention span, and because of that, there's a need for all media to develop audience and to keep an audience and to build an audience. And because of that, the quicker the headline, the little bit more sensational it is, and the more easily consumable the news, it's going to create a better audience for all media. You just don't see the type of lengthy political and cultural analysis that you did 20 years ago. That's a part of newspapers. I still think the emphasis on brevity has hurt a lot of readers and hurt the consumption of information, but I'm a little bit old school about that.
Trust is so important these days. It's important for financial reasons because, again, newspapers are losing the advertisers that they once had, because of economic forces. And so it's really important to build loyal trust with readers who are willing to subscribe to your newspaper. But it's also particularly threatening. Earning trust is doubly important now under the Trump administration because you have the sitting president of the United States openly calling journalists the enemy of the American people and calling any unfavorable news reporting that they do, calling it fake news.
What would you think newspapers would have to do to gain their popularity back?
It's not coming. It's not going to happen. What will happen is that there will continue to be a shift to digital, and there will be a time in which newspapers simply make decisions no longer to publish ink on paper and deliver the product to people's doorsteps.